Hello, what is up, everybody? Hope you're all doing well tonight. A lot going on, both good and bad. So, I guess that is the story of the world. Good to see you all in the chat. So, yeah, I'll just get started here. Hello. What's up, Steph? Let me bring this up. So, yeah, there's obviously stock market issues and tariff issues, and as a result of that and some other things, polling, even with Fox News, is putting Trump as like the most or the least popular president ever. Quite interesting.
But talk about what is driving this drop for the president.
What is driving this drop? I said record was the name of the game when it came to this segment, right? Talking about the lowest Trump has ever been going into the State of the Union, the lowest that any president has been this century going into a State of the Union at this point in their presidency. It is also the weakest that Donald Trump has ever been with independents. Look at this drop. We've been talking about it the past few months. At this point, a year ago, Donald Trump was at minus 13 points. Look at this, minus 47 points among.
That's insane.
Among independents, the lowest Donald Trump has ever been in either of his two terms as president with independents. That is driving these numbers when you're 47 points underwater with independents.
And he's going to tomorrow get up there and start talking about how great everything is, how great he is, and people are going to get even more pissed off.
That's the name of the game. You can't be above water overall, and that's why Donald Trump is near record lows overall and the lowest he's ever been going into a State of the Union address.
Quite a message on the eve of this big moment. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
John?
Those numbers with independents just eye-popping there.
What's up, Barbara, Steph, Crown, Zombie, Rowdy? Good to see y'all in chat. And yeah, so even Fox News, he's getting hammered. And usually they run cover for him.
Poll shows 60% disapproval of Trump, and this is just ahead of his State of the Union address, which is tomorrow. Guy Benson joining me now. Guy, what does he have to say tomorrow to swing voters kind of in his favor?
Well, Stuart, I think it's going to be a hard thing to do just because, as we've seen in recent years, it's kind of a self-selecting pool that watches at this point. So he'll have a lot of his own supporters tuned in. So I'd imagine to some extent it'll be preaching to the choir. There are people who are curious or barely follow politics who will get at least bits and pieces of it. That's the key audience, politically speaking, because you and I have said this before. We'll probably keep talking about it for months. When people start to feel a better economy, things could start getting better for the Republican Party. Unless and until that happens, it's going to be tough sledding like this, pun intended, with the blizzard in New York, because President Trump needs to not just tell people that things are getting better, they need to understand it on a very personal level. Now, one thing.
What was that terminology? I never heard that one before. They always come out with some wild shit that I like, these new idioms I've never heard. And Trump himself is looking rough. I feel like by the end of his presidency, it's gonna be like a Biden situation where his brain is like completely deteriorated, and it's obvious because it's starting to get obvious now.
It's so crazy. You know, the mayor of New York, and he's a very nice person. I met him, but his ideology is not too good. But we're having a massive snowstorm right now. And I've heard that he's asked people to come out and help shovel the snow. Okay, so you get a shovel and you start shoveling, right? What the hell? You're not going to help too much, but you can help. And hello, darling, how are you? Noah, right behind you, look, my friend, right? Are you okay? Yes, you. Are you okay?
Yeah, he just gets totally distracted.
Are you okay? Good. Good. Are your eyes okay? I gave her money to get her eyes fixed. A lot of money to get her eyes fixed. That doctor ripped me off, but that's okay. It's so crazy. You know, the mayor of New York, and he's a very nice person. I met him, but his ideology is not too good.
And we got people like this flipping out. And this is like, I think, a big problem with politics in general. I don't know if it's like this in other countries. I don't know how other countries operate. I feel like it's like worse in the US. Just the, you know, human rights and how the government is going to treat people has nothing to do with how most of these people think about politics. It's all about what is going to personally how they can personally benefit.
This is what you supported. You said you wanted Trump. Listen, bro, the reason I wanted Trump was because I wanted to make more money. All right, that's why. I'm gonna say it. At least I'm honest. I don't give a fuck. At least I'm not sitting here lying. I don't give a fuck who's the president. I want to make more money. I'm a greedy bitch. Okay? At least I'm saying it. I've been saying it from day one. Now tell me why I ordered an $8,000 exhaust. And then a week after I order it, I get a call. You got to pay a 57% tariff on it. What? I got to pay an extra over $3,000 when I already paid $8,000 on a fucking tariff. I don't even know what a fucking tariff is.
Bro, he was talking about tariffs all throughout the goddamn election. It's like you just heard some meme that Trump is good for money or something like that.
This is what you said.
It's insane. It's really crazy. But I gotta throw a cool guy in here for some relief from that. This guy.
There's still people out in doorways. Yeah. There's still people out in doorways looking for shelter, and I think a lot of people think this is why we shouldn't allow hedge funds to own residential property.
And so what we were talking about earlier too is a little bit of the nostalgia aspect, right?
Yeah.
How this feels kind of like back in the 90s when we were growing up.
Yeah, like we were saying, yeah, it was much more snow, colder winters. And again, private equity didn't own so much of the housing stock in America.
Thank you so much, Kyle.
Yep. There's still people
I love
out
when
indoor-
people do that. And yeah, I didn't know that an ICE whistleblower was coming to Washington to testify, but apparently that did go down. This is an article about it, but let me pull up the actual video. I have two videos where he gets into some pretty interesting things about how they are just not only do they not know what they're doing, but they're intentionally kind of being trained to be more brutal and to care less about the laws that are supposed to exist.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator Blumenthal, Representative Garcia, members of the committee. My name is Ryan Schwank. I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution when I joined ICE on August 1st, 2021, as an assistant chief counsel. I followed that oath for 4.5 years, working side by side with ICE officers. And I followed it when I resigned on February 13th, 2026, a little over a week ago, so that I could speak to you today. I am here because I am duty bound to report the legally required training program at the ICE Academy is deficient, defective, and broken. 5 months ago, I was asked to teach the law to new cadets at the ICE Academy in Glencoe, Georgia, where ICE is training its new, inexperienced recruits. I volunteered, those without law enforcement training, I volunteered to take on this assignment based on my experience in law enforcement oversight, including at the state and local level prior to my work with ICE.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this guy is probably somebody who would generally be in favor of ICE's mission, considering he joined the agency. You know what I mean?
On my first day, I received secretive orders to teach new cadets to violate the Constitution.
He received secretive orders to teach new cadets to violate the Constitution
By entering homes without a judicial warrant, For the last 5 months, I watched ICE dismantle the training program, cutting 240 hours of vital classes from a 584-hour program. Classes that teach the Constitution, our legal system, firearms training, the use of force, lawful arrests, proper detention, and the limits of officers' authority. For example, they ceased all of the legal instructions regarding use of force. This means that cadets are not taught what it means to be objectively reasonable, the very standard which the law requires them to meet when deciding whether or not to use deadly force. Our jobs as instructors are to teach them so well that they can make split-second decisions about what they can and cannot do in life or death situations. Yet, in the name of churning out an endless stream of officers, DHS leadership has dismantled the academic and practical tests that we need to know if cadets can safely and lawfully.
He said in the name of like producing an endless string of officers, or I think like that. He's kind of making an excuse, low key, for what they're doing, saying that, you know, it's not intentional, that it's just because they're rushing the process. I think that it's more intentional and systematic than that. That they're treating the law as an inconvenience because the law is a hindrance to their brutality.
Fully perform their job. All to satisfy an administration demanding they train thousands of new officers before the end of the year. DHS told the public that new cadets receive all the training they need to perform their duties, that no critical material or standards have been cut. This is a lie. ICE made the program shorter, and they removed so many essential parts that what remains is a dangerous husk. No reasonable person would believe a training program suddenly cut nearly in half could meet the minimum legal requirements. These aren't abstract rules. They're required in regulations such as 8 CFR 287G1. Congress requires immigration officers to meet minimum standards for a reason. ICE cannot lawfully perform their duties, make arrests, carry weapons, and use force without passing appropriate training. New cadets are graduating from the academy despite widespread concerns among training staff that even in the final days of training, the cadets cannot demonstrate a solid grasp of the tactics or the law required to perform their jobs. Without reform, ICE will graduate thousands of new officers who do not know their constitutional duty, do not know the limits of their authority, and who do not have the training to recognize an unlawful order. That should scare everyone. DHS assures the public these cadets can get the job training on compensate for anything missing at the academy. This is a lie. Many graduates go to their home office just long enough to get their gun, their badge, and their body armor before deploying to places like Minneapolis and other ICE operations with minimal supervision. It's shocking that anyone would think this is safe or responsible. And this pattern of lies is not isolated. It extends beyond the training program to include deceiving Congress and the public about the rules followed by ICE officers once they graduate. On my first day at the academy, I was instructed to read and return a memo in my supervisor's presence, which claimed ICE officers could enter homes without a judicial warrant. The acting ICE director authorized the very conduct that DHS, in its own 2025 legal training materials, had called the chief evil against which the wording of the Fourth Amendment is directed. That is physical entry of the home without consent or a proper warrant. Never in my career had I ever received such a blatantly unlawful order, nor one conveyed in such a troubling manner. Incredibly, I was being shown this memo in secret by my supervisor, who made sure that I understood that disobedience could cost me my job.
Wow. So he's being shown a secret memo that says, you know, we need you to violate the Constitution, break all these laws, you know, and then I think it's implied that he can't tell anybody, and if he disobeys, that he's going to be fired.
ICE is teaching cadets to violate the Constitution, and they were attempting to cloak it in secrecy by demanding that I lie about it. I am here to convey to the public the danger that is being created at the ICE Academy. I know from my conversations with many facility members, many of the faculty, that I am not alone in my fear. Law enforcement is a deadly serious business. It is not a place for shortcuts. Deficient training can and will get people killed. It can and will lead to unlawful arrests, violations of constitutional rights, and a fundamental loss of public trust in law enforcement. ICE is lying to Congress and the American people about the steps it is taking to ensure its 12,000 new officers faithfully uphold the Constitution and can perform their jobs. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today, and happy to answer any questions you have now or in the future. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Schwank.
So I have the video of this other guy asking some questions where some more interesting things come out of this. And it's definitely clear that the last ICE leader that they had on there, I think last week that we looked at, was lying about multiple things. And this whistleblower has kind of proven that. Make sure this is on 125.
We are probably not going to have any more colleagues from either side, but I have some more questions. So I'm going to go into them, not at huge length, but you've been very, very helpful and cooperative, and I want to thank you in advance. You know.
Yeah, Fresh, I was definitely going to take it in that direction for sure. I should have covered it last week, but you know.
The truth is that as we speak, literally, as you are here, the Trump administration is arming a paramilitary force, a new class of recruits, sending them out on the streets to repeat this kind of violence and brutality. It isn't an isolated or aberrant instance. It's the result of intentional institutional decisions, and we've documented here through the memo that Acting Director Lyons prepared and then concealed. It was used to instruct trainers like Mr. Schwank, beginning when he started in May, or rather in September, the memo dates from May. And it was used for hundreds of agents who now are on the streets and in our neighborhoods. These agents now have less training than most of the police officers in our police departments throughout Connecticut and throughout the country. They have less.
I think the training thing is kind of irrelevant. I'm going to get through this guy's clip farming and get to the actual whistleblower up here. The training is kind of irrelevant if the goal is still the same. You know what I mean? And the permissions are the same. I think that that's what he's going to describe in this clip here is like, you know, it doesn't matter how you train them if they're watching brutality on the TV and then they're seeing their fellow officers get away with it. That tells them how they should behave, essentially, because a lot of them want to behave that way.
It was shown to me that first time, and maybe one other time it was shown to me. Other than
he's talking about the memo and when it was shown to him, the secret memo.
Someone physically handing me the document, I never saw it again. And right before I left, I checked the repository where the agency keeps a copy of every official memo and policy guidance that is in effect. And there is no copy of it there. And Senator, I will point out to you, if we look at this document, if we look at it, every memo issued by ICE has a control number. It has something on it that indicates that it is an official policy document and where it falls in the agency's archives. And that's not on this document anywhere. Also, anytime we issue a memo, there is something in the document to control its release, something that says law enforcement only or for official use only, classified secret, something. And there's nothing on this memo that says that. Nowhere on this memo is there anything that would let you know that this is an official policy of the agency. And to my knowledge, it's never been disseminated as one. It's been handed out.
Bro has receipts.
Piecemeal to people to use when the agency thinks they need to.
Which directly undercuts the veracity of Acting Director Lyons' testimony under oath before a congressional committee. I want to go into some of the details here because I think they are so revealing, Mr. Schwank. You started your job at ICE in September of last year. This memo dates from May. How did you first see this memo?
Thank you, Senator. So I've been with ICE for about 4.5 years, but I was an instructor at Glencoe from September. The memo was shown to me by my supervisor at Glencoe. It was given to me in person with instructions that I could read it, but not take any notes on it, that I could read it in their presence, and that was it. And that I was going to teach from it, but I couldn't keep a copy of it to reference. And I couldn't document that I taught it to anyone, just that I could read it.
You were to train on it, but your supervisor didn't want you to have a copy of it for fear that it might be revealed. And in fact, it was revealed only when whistleblowers came to me, brave and strong as they were, came to me, put their professional careers and personal lives on the line and said they would reveal it. When you were told to train it on it, I believe that there was some conversation about instructing agents who were your students to follow this memo's policies, not the other written guidance that they might be provided. Is that correct?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, that is correct. So what the cadets were told to do was that they had the authority to make an arrest under this memo in someone's home, that they should knock on the door, and if the person did not open, as Ms. Gibson Brown's family did, that they could use force to enter that home, reasonable force to execute the I-205 administrative removal order. That's what we were teaching cadets at the academy. That's what we were told to teach them. And I will tell you, when I taught my classes, I would tell the cadets that this policy existed, and I would tell them that they needed to check with their local office before they did anything, because there was no legal basis for this. But I did tell them this was the agency policy.
Were you apprehensive that a failure to follow this illegal policy might result in demotion or discharge?
Yes, Senator, I was. In fact, it was made very clear to me when it was shown to me that if I did not follow it, I would probably lose my job. Two other attorneys for the agency had just been removed from teaching positions at the academy. One forcibly resigned. And the way it was shown to me or told to me was that it was because they disagreed with management over this policy.
So this illegal policy was not just a suggestion, it was an order, and people were disciplined as a result.
So yeah, to really highlight what they are doing here is that they are really trying to bypass every kind of defense that there is in the legal system to prevent them from just, snatching people up without a warrant, entering homes without a warrant. These are like the only things that really we have in this country. You know what I mean? And they are very, very flimsy rights. But and of course, the whole thing of it's just the immigrants who are the target of it, that is just the foot in the door. That has been proven in authoritarian dictatorships throughout history. And regardless, even if it was just the immigrants, that's extremely inhumane to treat human beings like this.
Of failing to implement this illegal policy. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, Senator. As I said, it's my understanding that an attorney before me, in fact, the reason I was at Glencoe is because I was the alternate for the person who was forcibly resigned over their refusal to teach the memo.
And just so everyone understands, this memorandum was written by the acting director of this agency, ICE, with instructions about breaking a long-standing practice and policy of ICE itself, a well-established policy and practice of police forces going back hundreds of years, a practice and policy that embodies the core Fourth Amendment values and provisions that no person, not just citizen, can have his home violated without a court saying that there's probable cause to do so. You taught ICE agents, candidates for graduation that then went on to Minneapolis. They went all around the country. We've talked about DHS contention that the standards are the same, which is belied by the documents as well as your testimony. The numbers of courses have been drastically cut. The hours have been reduced. The physical or practical exams have been truncated. DHS may contend, well, we give tests to these cadets before they graduate. But my understanding is that many of the tests are paper tests, multiple.
We have two types of tests. We have multiple choice exams.
That guy is way too
practical exams.
Way too slow.
With the multiple choice tests, the cadets went from having to do them in a closed book format where they had to depend on what they had learned and memorized to doing them.
I think those were the main points that I wanted to get across. The rest of it really focused on the training aspects and train people on what the law is. That's definitely necessary. But at the same time, more training is not going to save ICE. And thinking in that direction is very dangerous. because it would result in half measures that wouldn't really change anything.
Tonight,
Here's another. It seems like a lot of these, even though nobody from the Epstein files is being taken down, at least in the U.S., we got Peter Mandelson today. A lot of these Congress people, judges that are, predators are going down. This guy is still in office, but he's facing calls to resign, even among his own party. But Michael Johnson is rushing to his defense, as we'll see in a minute.
some Republicans now joining Democrats, calling for embattled Texas Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez to resign, as we're now seeing sexually explicit text messages between the lawmaker and a member of his staff who took her own life. The texts were obtained by NBC News and confirmed by the attorney for the husband of Regina Santos Avilas. In one of them, Gonzalez wrote, quote, "Send me a sexy pic," and mentioned multiple sexual acts. Santos Avilas replied, "This is too far, Tony," and "Please tell me you didn't just hire me because I was hot." Gonzalez replied, "No way." The texts are only from one day and do not address if there was a physical relationship. Gonzalez did not respond to our requests for comment on the texts. Santos Avilas' husband has accused Gonzalez of having an affair with her. Gonzalez has previously denied the allegations of an affair, but now accusing his opponent in a hotly contested GOP primary of personal smears.
Yeah, definite creep shit, and I want to look into that allegedly, because that seems like that might be foul play going on there.
Tonight, several Republican members of Congress have called on Gonzalez to resign or quit the race. We pressed House Speaker Mike Johnson. Do you still support Tony Gonzalez's reelection right now, Mr. Speaker?
I endorsed Tony before all these allegations came out. They're obviously very serious. It's too early for anybody to prejudge any of that, but we'll see how it develops.
And what the House Ethics Committee cannot review a report from the office.
Bro, those texts are so like it's a person you're supposed to be working with that you're in a superior position of. That's should be instant. You're done.
Of congressional conduct on this matter until after the primary. It's against House rules for a member to have a romantic relationship with a staffer. Tom?
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories.
Yeah, that situation is crazy. I'm definitely going to have to look more into that to see if there are any kind of clues there, because that doesn't seem right. Even Lauren Boebert is calling for his resignation. Let's see. Oh, wow. I was going to grab, I have a video for this that I got to find, but they're sending all of these aircraft carriers all over the place. They have all of these, different missions, whether it's the Venezuela thing or whether it's the massive buildup of military units around Iran right now, which it's kind of hard to tell what's happening or what the plan is. But it seems the situation is that Trump is trying to use this show of force to get Iran to capitulate on certain terms with, not enriching uranium at all. And, he's kind of trying to use this buildup as a bargaining chip. And I think it started out as a bluff, but he might, it's looking like that was initially the situation, and he's kind of backed into a corner and feels like he has to right now, which is insane because what is that going to do? Nothing good, and obviously don't have a right to be attacking people anyway. But the thing about sending all of these aircraft carriers all over the place is that, you know, they're not being docked and serviced and stuff like that. So, you know, they're in disrepair, running low on supplies. The crews are unhappy. Let me try to see if I could pull up that video because it is pretty insane. And many of them are talking about quitting the military, you know, once whatever tour they're on is over. Oh my god, this is terrible. I don't even want to show this on screen, but wow. So this is the aircraft carriers. Apparently they're having massive sewage issues and they're all leaking and this is rough. Very, very rough. Like, come on. That is not okay. Let's see what this article says. Yeah, the USS Gerald R. Ford is currently docking in Haifa, Israel, amid peak tensions with Iran. Yeah, that, like, I can't. That's not good. And see, this says why USS Gerald Ford sailors are ready to quit after a year at sea. Gerald Ford in recent days has been headed towards the Middle East with the possibility of a military confrontation between the United States and Iran. Per the Jerusalem Post, the USS Gerald Ford, after crossing the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah, okay, let's see. It's just giving all the... So many of these, it's like word count padding. And I'm not even joking because I used to have to write articles like this for a living. And there's always a minimum word count that you got to hit. So you always got to put all of this irrelevant context in there. But there was one specific part that I was looking for that I did take a look at. Let's see if that's the one. No, it's here. So the journal talked to some sailors aboard the Gerald R. Ford. One sailor on board the Ford told the journal that many crew members are angry and upset, with some saying they want to leave the Navy at the end of the deployment. The sailor said she was strongly considering quitting herself. She said she misses her toddler daughter, but the unpredictability of when she would see her family again hurt her the most. I feel like them gendering an anonymous source is probably a dumb idea, especially in an environment like that, because it would be very, it would be much easier for them to determine who it was. It's ridiculous. The journal also obtained a letter that the carrier's commanding officer, Captain David Scarosi, sent in mid-February after its deployment was extended. I've spoken to many of your sailors who are coming to terms with missing Disney World plans, weddings they had already RSVP'd to attend, and spring break trips to Busch Gardens. That's kind of trivializing, like, people wanting to go home. However, he added that when our country calls, we answer. Let's see. Yeah, so that's rough. I don't think that is going to be a good situation, especially if there's going to be some kind of war or something. So there's also this weird hazing thing, which is a unique look into how these kind of organizations operate. And in many ways, whoa, that's loud over here. These fraternities are in many ways like secret societies. Specifically, this one that the cops raided and found some weird shit going on is based it takes from Freemasonry, and it's been around for like what 200 years or something like that. And Yeah, yeah, it definitely it costs money. You usually have to be depending on the frats. There are some that are, more accessible, but many of them, especially like this, are only for people of a certain wealth background. And there's also the element of networking that I think is not talked about a lot, especially when it comes to the higher level fraternities, which end up being the secret societies, because that's what secret societies are, is really just um, fraternities. But the thing is like there's so much networking that goes on through that. Like I knew a guy that was in one, and he got jobs from them, he got drug hookups from them. Um, you know, all sorts of things like that. And it always just seemed like opportunities were plentiful. And I talked to another guy who was a literal Freemason one time. He had a place next to my dad's work a long time ago, and he used to talk about how he would get off police like parking tickets and traffic tickets and stuff like that. And he would get lower prices on things, and he would get cheaper deals on properties and cars, things like that. And that was kind of how he was pitching the whole thing to me, because back then it was like when I had first started to like look into weird stuff, you know what I mean? So I was popping off about about the Freemasons, and he's like, "I am one." And I was like, "I saw that. I saw the symbol on your car." And he was like trying to explain to me what it really was. And I think I'll let this play as I finish. But I think that it's like if you if you think about it, when super rich people are kind of like only keeping opportunities amongst themselves, you know what I mean? That really contributes to um the inequality that we see. And it plays a big role in it. Like even getting into college in the first place is you got to be either very lucky and from a certain socioeconomic place. I mean, what do you mean Freemasons aren't weird? There are mountains of lore and conspiracy theories associated with them. Whether you agree with them or not, you got to admit that they exist. Now, the in the UK, they recently had this big controversy about Freemasonry in their police force. And the reason for this was because they were giving preferential treatment to people who were Freemasons. Judges were giving preferential treatment to particular police officers' cases. Um, so this kind of collusion is what people are concerned about on a practical level. Now, all of the spooky stuff, like I think is kind of irrelevant to the actual issue of like the systemic elements of it, and where it contributes to the inequality in society, and it contributes to only certain people getting into certain positions, and that kind of stuff. I sped this up. So to set this up a little bit here, a fire alarm was set off in this frat house. They still haven't really figured out why. Um, and then when they come in here, nobody wants to talk, nobody wants to let them in, and they end up finding like 20 shirtless kids uh down in this room, and they seem to have stuff thrown all over them, and they don't want to say anything. The reason why they don't want to say anything is because then they will like break their oath or whatever, and they'll miss out on a lot of opportunities in their life. The way that I have seen this discussed on some other channels is like they're trying to ascertain the secrets of old times and stuff like that, and I really don't think that that's what these bros are caring about. They just know that like if they get through this fraternity, they're going to get better jobs for the rest of their life, and they're going to have a smooth like sailing kind of situation, and that is why they're willing to put up with it.
Can I get through? Hey guys, what the fuck's going on here? What's going on? Who's in charge? Cameras 127. I'll take a second here. Yeah, hold up. I need 133 here. This is the alarm here. All right, who's in charge?
Like he's not saying nothing, and some of these guys I know thought that that the cops were a part of the test, because the cops are a lot of times belong to the frats too, you know what I mean? So or they were a part of it when they were in college, especially in a place like Iowa. So everybody's going to have that same response. And there was something weird going on in that room. Like you see, there's that little light in the corner. There probably was some kind of like weird music to mess with their heads, like they do in Guantanamo Bay and shit. There was probably something going on, and yeah. Well, I didn't mean weird in that sense. I just meant like when I started looking into the occult is the word that I was reaching for. I didn't mean like weird in a pejorative way. But yeah, I think the reason why none of these kids care if they're going to go to jail that night, because like they see the fraternity as a big part of their future. And like I said, from the people that I knew that were in them, I did see that a lot of doors open for them. And I'm not saying that that is any kind of magic or anything like that. It's just high level networking. And I do think that is kind of bad when it's done certain ways. Like, you know what I mean? Like when it's done with the intent of maintaining power. And I'll also get into the ritualistic aspect of this too, because when the frat leader is eventually spoken to by the cops, he calls it a ritual. He refers to it as a ritual multiple times. And I have said multiple times that I'm not offended by rituals. I've done rituals. It's like a normal part of people's life who are pagan of various varieties. But at the same time, there are certain rituals when there is a hierarchy involved, where you are doing it as some sort of initiation, where things are hurt or people are hurt in the process of that ritual. Then that's the stuff that is like, you know, really problematic. And that's what that seems to be here. Well, I mean, the hierarchy aspect for sure. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Looks like we have quite a bit of hazing. So I'm gonna ask again, who's in charge?
We can talk upstairs.
No, we're gonna talk right here. Who's in charge?
A couple of us are. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, well, we need to find someone who's in charge, because this is ridiculous. Hey, this stops here, guys. This is a police department. This stops here. Who's in charge?
They're like covered in condiments, I guess. You could see like a mustard bottle on the floor. And I have a video later after this where there's some girl in a bar and she's watching the hazing video on her phone, and she sees the guy in the bar, and she's like showing like somebody else, and it's like this shirtless dude covered in ketchup, and she sees him like trying to be cool in the bar and stuff.
Charge.
They're blindfolded too. You can see this guy right here. He's blindfolded. Imagine being those cops. Like, you don't see shit ever in Iowa, except for like stuff like this, probably.
How about we start cleaning this up? Everyone take their blindfolds off. Look at that, man. You see anything over there?
No, I mean just one dangerous fire code violation after another.
Yeah.
I'm just ridiculous amount of beds people sleeping in there.
Yep.
Fire guys like, this is a bit of a fire hazard.
For sure. Yes, 142. I'll take you as well.
They're all standing there like, what the fuck do we do? None of them wants to be the first one to come forward, because, you know, the first one's going to be out of the frat.
Yeah. You got some backup coming in?
Yep, they're coming. They're lieutenant's coming, another officer as well. And they're all just still standing there.
Yeah, I thought you were pretty clear.
Yeah, I thought so too. Guess not.
And before we get too deep into it, I'll do a fact check here. This is the fraternity Alpha Delta Phi, which I have an article here. This article is how I found or confirmed, because I initially saw this in another video, but I confirmed it in this Alpha Delta Phi. Now, looking at the Alpha Delta Phi, you could see it was founded all the way back in 1832. And let's see. And it's also, thought I saw something about Freemasonry in here. At Yale University, it was mostly brothers of Alpha Delta Phi who were invited to join the university's top-ranked senior society, Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones is one of the, like, George Bush and John Kerry were in that secret society and at Yale, and they were both running against each other for president many years ago now. And that was like this big controversy. It wasn't a conspiracy. It was very true. They both were in the same fraternity. So that definitely makes you think. So Alpha Delta Phi is like the training league of these these larger secret societies, if you want to look at it like that. And like I'm saying, I know it sounds weird, but these are, you know, people that come from powerful, wealthy families, and this is part of their bonding rituals, and it is, you know, also part of how they maintain their power through their networks. So I'll go back to the video now. I'll kick it up a little bit more.
Apparently not me. But you guys are going to chill here for a bit.
Well, I just
Or
don't
you
want
guys
to be
are
by yourself.
Yeah.
I'll wait for you to leave. This is definitely more matter for you guys.
If it's
No, you need to come down here.
if it's too fast, let me know. But I think like with the kind of video that this is, like it makes more sense to speed through it, and the things that they say you could kind of pick up.
Okay.
If it is too fast, though, let me know and I'll slow it down.
Yeah. I've already given multiple commands to clear the room and get out of here, but no one's moving.
Did you see that guy's face? He did the like blink, like the double blink.
They're taking this pretty serious. Yeah, yes. You in charge?
And he says they're taking this pretty serious because you got fire people, cops all like up there, and they're just standing there like, nope.
You still haven't found out who's in charge?
No one asked my house dad.
Where's he at?
Summit. Working at Summit.
Summit. That's cool.
So, you have
obviously,
to
yeah, we said it's coming.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll hang by until.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean, if this is how Iowa is, I mean, imagine like I believe they still do super weird stuff in the elite ones as well, like Skull and Bones. One of the rituals was described back during that. What was it? I don't know if it was 2008 or what was it? Was that when it was, or 2004? Whenever that Bush and Kerry race was.
Definitely figure out why you wouldn't let me pass you initially.
Questionable.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I was at the wrong address.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
I heard you go out and then.
Yeah, so I didn't see anything. So
yeah.
back around once I heard.
See this guy in the white? He's probably a total scumbag, but he does everything right in this situation. Like when you're supposed to deal with cops, because he was like, I'm not giving you my name. Like, here, I will give you my ID because I know I'm supposed to give you that, but like, I'm not giving you this information. And that's generally good police OPSEC, I think.
My bad.
I would probably be calling your house dad or whoever to get him here. Since
Call your house daddy.
ultimately, he's probably in charge, right? Unless someone else is in charge.
I don't have his number, so
Yeah.
which rush you? Yeah. Do you guys know how to fire on the guys set off? We just run. It's manual. It goes off. This one all the way here. How it got set off, I'm not sure.
Let's see. This is where they confront the guy in white.
I'll go see. I think we may have like some information, or I think I'm gonna look to see if there's any numbers for this air person. Like maybe we went out looking at a manager or something.
Gotcha.
But I'll let you guys know.
Gotcha. Oh, it's nothing.
Yeah, I think they really do call them their house dads, which is.
So what's going on in here? You don't know? You're just blocking the door so we can't see? How does nobody live here then? Just hanging out?
You tell me.
No, you tell me.
I don't know.
You go to University of Iowa?
I do.
You do? What's your major?
Business.
He's talking just like Les Wexner on trial. I don't know. I don't know nothing. I don't remember. I mean, that is how you talk if you want to stay out of trouble.
What's your name?
What?
Sorry, what's your name is?
Jose.
Jose? Jose, what's your last name?
What?
Come on, go talk to you.
Once I do that.
Oh yeah, no. During hazing, not at this one, but at other hazing incidents, there have been incidences where people have lost their lives. Yeah, multiple of them. And I think one of the cops says it to one of the kids here, like, this is serious. We're going to have to shut this down. You know, there have been people that have lost their lives.
Once I do that.
How old are you?
21. Once I do.
Yeah, you got anything in proof?
It's fake. It's fake.
You think it's fake? You think it's fake or you know? There's two different things there. Camps 142, one by DL, number,
It's definitely not Jose.
I go by Jose.
349, Adam Paul, 5452. Do you have your real driver's license?
Reels against. Reels against. Yeah, please.
Does that room go anywhere else?
Lunch room.
That room, did that go anywhere else?
I just want to get a return.
The guy like doesn't have a voice either, and I really want to know how the alarm was set off, because I know none of them wanted the cops there. So
Clean record. Check.
Copy, thank you. That's all I need.
So where do you live?
You still over in Riverdale, or you live in that house?
I go to school here.
What?
That's my initial address.
I don't know. You still live in there?
I'm residing in Iowa City.
Okay.
It's real.
Jose, can you step over here?
Why?
Because I need to talk to these people in here. I need you to step over here.
I'll step inside.
Yeah, I'm gonna, since it's a rather long body cam video, I'm gonna keep on skipping along to the parts that are interesting.
Is anyone in here that needs medical attention? Is anyone here that is against their will? Is there anyone here who is not participating in this, i.e. a leader?
Is there anyone with any sort of physical injury? No.
Oh yeah, we gotta go.
I'm sorry, but it's just so fucking weird, man. It's like these are people who would like probably have kicked my ass in high school, and like look at them, you know what I'm saying?
Is anyone hurt in here? Is anyone not involved in this here? I.e., looks like you have a shirt on. Looks like you have a shirt on. How about you two come over here? Yep. You in the gray shirt and...
See, these guys are versed enough in the frat situation to know, like, okay, you guys are clothed, so you're probably not the pledges.
The other shirt. Well, he looks like he's involved. So yeah, both of you come over here. And follow me here.
This place is so trash too, man. Like,
what's going on tonight?
You're the same thing. You're saying I don't know.
Don't know. What year are you?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore? Junior?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Take these two, ask some questions about what's going on in their arms.
Okay.
You guys want to go
Give me a second, though. So obviously you're not one of the ones with their shirts off getting thrown stuff out, right?
Sure. No, sir.
So who's doing that?
Are you responsible for the house? How are you, sir?
That's not what I asked.
I'm not sure who's
Go ahead on two. On my way up. You guys stay here, okay? I'm not done talking with you. Hey, Ford. They're definitely...
this shit is so crazy. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, I used to get wasted, go to really crazy parties when I was that age, but like, not this, man.
Leading this thing. So I gotta go talk to Carlson, so...
Nobody knew who you were, how to get in contact with you.
Yeah. So I know how to reset the panel. Usually I do it with the breakers. I do.
Good.
I think we're good there.
I think this might be the house daddy.
Fire said they were able to get it reset, so I think our system is back to normal.
All right.
Now the main concern is going to be the hazing issue, and your basement has a considerable amount of like standing beer and liquid.
Who have you talked to anybody? I got
Talked to a few people. We're just trying to get it sorted out who's involved and who's kind of leading the thing. No one's really being forthcoming on that. There's a guy in a white Iowa sweatshirt that's being a little difficult. He says he lives here, but he doesn't live here. And then we got two others I think that are involved with kind of leading it as well. So
all right.
I'm just trying to figure out.
I got to give my boss a call, the guy who owns
Sure.
the guys who
So
had me do this.
I guess here's
I wonder if his name was in here. If not,
obviously
this is kind of blurry for me to be able to hit him with the facial recognition.
the concern with seeing what is perceived to be a very significant hazing event.
It sounds like
and that's going to be included in our report. So I guess here is why I was really preferring that you would come here.
This is where he calls it a ritual.
This is going in our report regardless. If we get some details,
right now you guys know.
On my way. Hey, what's the code? What's the code?
135.
Yeah, someone's coming. Someone's coming. Thank you. Excuse me.
you guys will get questions when they film all.
Oh my
What's
god.
up?
I was going to ask those two guys questions, but then they all started filling out.
They left?
No,
No one left.
I stopped.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. Did you pull these guys out?
No, I went to go talk to those guys, and then they start coming.
Why did we come out?
And these were one of the kids that were in the bar that the chick had the picture of.
So I said that. So they should come out.
You said it?
I did.
So you're in charge? No, you said you're not in charge.
Not in charge. I said they should go to their beds.
And that's where they sleep?
They're new live-ins for the next semester in the spring.
All right.
Bro has mayonnaise all over him.
Sit tight. I was talking to these guys. The house dad's here. Okay. So house dad's here. Okay. Yeah. He doesn't seem too happy, nor would I, right? So again, I'm gonna ask you, What's going on tonight?
Nothing.
I mean, there's.
You're fine.
Yeah, we should do that.
So you guys have your IDs on you?
I already handed it to you.
You got them both? Okay.
Right here.
Okay.
You got your two IDs. Go check them. Go check them. Right here. All right, let's hear it.
They're just in there, packed in there, man.
Let's hear it. Go sleep on that. Fucking faggot. Ready, so ID.
I got you.
So I assume both of you guys live here?
I do not.
You got fucking nothing.
Okay, where do you live?
I live on North of Beak Street, about 2-3 blocks down the street.
An apartment then?
Correct.
What about you?
As well.
So what are we doing here?
I was just coming by the house.
Okay.
I come here quite a bit. I keep my car here, so I was just
Okay.
coming by the house.
So what are we doing down here?
I'm not sure.
Gonna need answers eventually, right?
Right.
This I don't know is not helping you guys. Not like that.
I'm sorry.
I'm
But I do
gonna
wish you would.
go back up here to where he talks to the house dad.
How good answer?
Yeah, you're good. So
Because all of them just basically say, I don't know what's going
there's one
on.
last thing. I appreciate you not keep giving me lip or anything like that.
I'm sorry.
But I do wish you would have been a little more forthcoming, a little more honest. Okay. But yeah, you guys are good to go. Yep. Yeah, you're free. Yep. That's how you were house dad, right?
Yeah.
Or, yeah. We'll just wait till he gets off and then figure out where we're going from here.
I don't care if you're sleeping or not. Everybody in this house, wake up, clean everything. No, not indoors. Just not indoors. I get it clean now.
I think here's actually to make sure everyone's okay. That's just insane. It's up to me.
I would say, yeah.
Right now. Yeah, and then again, I don't know who was actually. It was hard to tell who was down there, kind of leading the thing. The two that I was talking to, they didn't say much about anything. They just kept saying, "I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on." And then, so when I initially got down there, they were all against the wall. Most, if not all, had the ties blindfolded around their eyes. I told everyone to take the blindfolds off, and it took them probably 30 seconds to a minute to be like to do that. So I don't know if anyone was telling them to not move, because none of them moved when I said give them commands. So
Gaia, the guy's name, he was,
yeah,
you know, when I was
Joseph.
trying to ask questions through strong arming, just telling people kind of what to say.
Yep.
So that was the concern I had about getting out of here, just checking the well-being. I appreciate you showing up.
Yeah.
For sure. So,
Yeah. There goes my second job.
Yeah.
He said, there goes my second job.
Do you guys need anything else from me? Do you want me to go sweep the house or something?
Let me
I'm gonna
talk to him. Yeah, that's that works. Yeah, if we'll need anything, we'll come find you. Okay.
You skip ahead again.
Appreciate it.
There's that two in the hallway.
Yeah.
Then there's a one in that other room where all the bedding is.
Yeah.
That one goes down to this like cellar almost.
Okay.
They said no one was down there, and then so I didn't look, but I don't know.
No, these guys run their own house.
True.
we just need to get all the information we can about who was in here and their identification.
Yeah, I think most of us are gone now.
Most of them to take off, but I don't know if they have a running list of who was here. I mean, they're going to know each other, and there's about, what, 40 of them?
Yeah.
If they had a list, I don't know who was in here, that'd be ideal. But I think we're just going to have to start asking for people's identification and go from there. I don't think there's a good way to do that.
Yeah, I think we kind of missed that
Window.
window.
Well, I wanted to. They started running out of the stairs. I was trying
Yeah.
to say state your name, and I wanted to state the name, but
I'm sure you guys can ask the guys inside. I have them all downstairs in that basement cleaning right now.
Okay, we can go. Pretty sure these are all ones that are sleeping though. There's a couple more of you guys, right? Or is it just you two? Or you three? Hey, so I know it seems like you guys weren't really down here for all this, but do you guys have like a list of people who work here for this? Somewhere like on the computer, and someone's phone? You guys have any idea who was here for this event? We'll call it.
I don't know the list.
No, no one has a list.
The only list I can give you is of the kids that weren't partaking, but were.
So I feel like there's typically a list involved that are pledges, right?
Yes.
Do we have that list somewhere?
Yes,
I would love to have that.
That's all I have.
Yep, that would work for me.
You want me to-
Yep. Oh, nope. If you can send it to me, if it's like a document, or is it
Yeah,
just
I
like?
can, I can send you a document.
Yeah, that'd be great. Should be that. Where'd it go? Email down. Thank you.
see.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Man. Thank you. Have a great night. Yep. I guess that's not you. Have a good night. Yep.
I think Carlson just got you off the phone. As soon as I can check.
I would assume so, yeah.
That rocks down. Dude. I don't know if your house here around. Is it? Smells like fucking shit. You got it. This is probably how you want to spend your Thursday night. I was actually having a great night. I got so much shit done.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure he's cool with me before I leave.
That's fine.
But I mean, if it's not busy, just cut the staff down to like 25%, and then just still feels busy because we have like 5 people doing it.
Right, yeah.
So probably means it's slow on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I hope so. No game this Saturday. Got a live employees.
I don't know. There was I saw a clipped one earlier, but yeah, pretty strange. And then this was posted later. Where's the here it is. Yeah, I know. What is with the stance? It is weird, right? And then he's trying to talk about the game and shit. Look at this. That's gotta be rough. But, you know. Yeah, definitely true. Everything is cool. That was definitely a weird one.